This is Vinney and Beau show. Some of you might know me, Vinney Chopra, and my partner, Beau Eckstein. And we come to you live at 9:30 Pacific, which is 12:30 Eastern, every Friday. Thanks for joining.
And I think, Vinney, honestly, we at some point we're going to start a affordable housing multifamily division underneath Monell Investments. I'll run the division. We'll have a nonprofit component, and we'll help.
Wow.
We could probably help this in a big way, really.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah.
It's been an exciting week. I hope it's been for you also. Beau, you have some questions, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a lot of questions.
How are you, brother?
Good to see you, Vinney. Good to see you, Beau.
Oh, thank you. We are so privileged to have you.
Hey, Vinney, real quick.
Yeah, bud.
All right, I'll bet you sushi that you don't know what does SAS stand for?
Hi there, everybody joining us, watching us. We are live in 7 channels actually today, in the YouTube, in LinkedIn, in Facebook groups and Facebook. Thanks again for liking the show. Please give comments, share, and we are here for a very big show today. Well, good morning, friends. This is Vinney Chopra on the Vinney and Beau show. Brother Beau is right there, and I'm here in the Bay Area. It's kind of sunny and cold, almost 37 degrees outside, but I love it, just to be outside. It's so good air, everything. Beau, how are you, brother?
Doing well. Excited for the show today.
Great guest today. Gary Chupik is here. I interviewed Gary this week on my podcast, and I got to see him in Las Vegas. Gary, that evening we were at the Web3 convention at the dinner, beautiful dinner, and so it was great to have you. I'd love to introduce Gary. What we are in store today, guys, is mindset. Gary is a world-class mental performance coach. Mental performance. It's so important that we get our mind right to accomplish big things. Beau, you're going to love it. Coach who works with professional athletes and high achievers in business. And also Gary has worked with clients from Microsoft, from Amazon, from Trivent Financial, the Houston Texans, Seattle Marin. I mean, there are so many of them. So let's welcome Gary. Gary, how are you, brother? Gary's in Seattle. Yeah.
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. Kind of tell us a little bit about you. You're from Canada. And how did you get started in this business? And give us some background. I think we would love to kind of take you back from Canada. How was your life? How did you start? And what did you do before becoming a coach?
Well, yeah, thank you for the invite. It's just thrilling to be here. I'm Canadian, so that explains a lot of my quirks. And love brought me to Seattle. I married a girl from Seattle, Washington, and then have built the last life together for the last 31 years. So I've been married 31 years, and I have 3 kids. And I was actually, believe it or not, I was a pastor for 27 years. And so I am just been in the business of helping people get better, and have figured out a couple things along the way. And then I would say about 5 years ago, I ran into something called burnout. And what burnout is just a self-mismanagement. So I mismanaged myself and my energy levels. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with my life now? And kind of had a hard reset. Maybe it was my midlife crisis. It was my Camaro, I suppose, moment. And I decided that I would do just what I've already been doing, which was extend the trajectory of what I've been doing for 27 years, which was unlocking the very best in people and inspiring them and encouraging them to follow that. So along the way, in the next year, I found myself in 34 cities across America teaching leadership and mental training. And I just got some lucky breaks, I think. I came in contact with Russell Wilson, who's quarterback for the Denver Broncos presently. He was quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, and he had a mental coach named Trevor Moawad. And Trevor is the Mount Everest of mental trainers in the world. There's just nobody better. And so he worked with almost every professional team, Alabama, Miami Dolphins, just everybody. And so he just took me under his wing for a little while, and it was just thrilling to just rub shoulders with him for a year and a half. And then he invited me to work for his company for a bit, so I did that, and just formed a relationship with him. So unfortunately, he passed away from cancer at a young age about 14 months ago. And so one of the things that he encouraged me the most to do was take the mindset training and mental performance training from the sports world to the business world, because there's so much overlap there, and there's so many things that high achievers in business and athletes have. So I work kind of in both worlds, the business world and in the professional sports world, and I teach mental performance training and leadership skills. And I'm it's the best life I could ever imagine.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was telling Vinny, I just got my first coach. I think I've done 17 or 18 sessions, and it's a game changer to have a high performance kind of business coach. I think everybody should reevaluate where they're at right now, whatever it is it your fitness coach, your diet coach, your mental coach, your even therapy, right? Like everybody needs somebody to talk to and needs certain training. So kind of curious on kind of the framework of kind of the mindset coaching you do, like any kind of tips on like what you see in these like professional athletes, for example, like what kind of drills can we be doing to make our mindset better? I mean, I know in business we run into a lot of stresses, right? And then we get stressed out and we can't function. What are some tips we can be working on?
Yeah, that's such a great question because so let me start at 30,000 feet and then come down. So I think the holy grail of all mental performance is self leadership. I don't think it's motivation. So motivation kind of wanes up and down, but your ability to lead yourself in the ups and the downs is so important. So, for example, if you're down and you're not feeling motivated and maybe things haven't been going your way, or we're in a recession, or business is difficult, your ability to lead yourself will supersede your motivation. And so what we talk about, or what I often talk about, is that self leadership is the holy grail of all performance. So it starts with self leadership, and then once you sort of can grip self leadership and lead yourself really well, then you want to fortify yourself with habits. And so habits are an interesting topic. We can talk about it on the surface level and talk about how to discipline yourself in terms of habits, but actually habits are an identity issue. They're not a discipline issue. So the question to ask ourselves is, what kind of a person do I want to be? What kind of a person do I want to be? That's an identity question. So when it comes to, let's say, a season of your life where things aren't going very well, the question is who do you want to be when things aren't going well? And if you want to be the type of person who's resilient and tough and an overcomer, then you'll figure out a way because you're adaptable. You'll figure out a way to be successful. So to think in terms of how to fortify our self leadership, we fortify those things with habits, and we think about it's actually an identity issue. So the next question then becomes is, do we live a life of balance or do we live a life of rhythm? And so this is an interesting topic because a lot of high performers think that they have to live balanced lives. And we talk about living balanced lives, but I don't find that particularly helpful in high performance circles. What I find is that most high performers live in rhythms. So they have a rhythm to their day. So you think about a professional athlete, let's say, who gets up in the morning at 7 a.m., gets to eats breakfast at 8 a.m., gets to the facility at 9 a.m. They have a briefing at 9:30 a.m. Then they have a practice from 9:30 to 11. Then they eat lunch, and then they have another practice, and then they will have like say team meetings or positional meetings. Then they'll come together and have one more meeting, and then they're off for the day. And you think about the fact that they live their life in this rhythm, this daily rhythm that provides them the best opportunity to succeed in their craft. That's what they do. And if you look at almost every real high performer, they live their life in rhythm, not balance. And so the question then becomes what are the rhythms in our lives that we set up so that we can be as successful as we want to be? And if we just follow those rhythms and we have the sense of identity and we have the self leadership to live out those rhythms, you will eventually be successful. You might not be successful today. You might not be successful. Nobody goes to the gym and lifts weights and then goes home and thinks that they're, 50 pounds stronger and, having lost 20 pounds. No, it's just the consistency of doing those daily rhythms that eventually put you in a really successful spot so that you can succeed.
So
Yeah.
is it very easy to just say, Gary, rhythm is also smaller habits,
Mhm.
or uh, what's the right word I'm thinking about? I know rhythms are great. So what's the real meaning? This is very interesting because this word rhythm, I've heard it, but I've not really researched in depth, you
Mhm.
know. But
Yeah, I think sorry to
uh,
cut you off, Gary, but
no,
I
no, go
think
ahead.
I think if you look at like Vinny, if you look at your walking at 7 a.m. every day, that's a rhythm, right? Then your breakfast, like when I was at your house, we're gonna have your oatmeal, you're gonna have your two hard-boiled eggs, and you're gonna put the crunch stuff on top of the oatmeal. Then you're gonna go maybe take a shower or whatever. You're gonna jump on calls. That's rhythms, right? And yeah, I've never heard somebody say it as rhythms, but it's perfect. It made perfect sense. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love
So
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, I taught this to the Houston Texans football team. So, for example, for you to be at your very best, what are, let's say, either 5 or 7 rhythms in your day that put you in the best position to have a successful day? And
Ah,
those things are internal, they're not external, they're not happening to you. You get to control them. And then you can emit that joy and that energy out to other people.
mhm.
So, for example, and the reason why I say 5 or 7, by the way, is because they're odd numbers. And so at the end of the day, you can have a like for me, I have a calendar in my closet and I have L's and W's, wins and losses. And I judge the success of my day based on whether I did those 5 or those 7 things. So if I did, let's say, 4 of them, but I didn't do 3 of them, I won
Mhm.
the day. If
Ah,
I, let's say I only did one thing, but I didn't do 6 things, then I lost the day. And
yeah.
so, for example, what puts Gary Chupik in the best position to succeed every day is these 7 rhythms. So, number one is to get at least 6 hours sleep. That's bare minimum. So, I aim for 7. So 7 hours sleep puts me in the best position to succeed every single day. Why? Because we know that sleep affects strength, agility,
Yeah.
emotional regulation, decision making, patience, compassion, love. So when you get 2 hours sleep, you're just not operating at your best, right?
Mhm.
So sleep is actually very much a high performance rhythm. So for me, I get 7 hours is what I shoot for. 6 is the bare minimum, but that's a rhythm in our day. And I think most often that people set their alarm clock at the wrong time of the day. They set their alarm clock when they should get up. I think people should set their alarm clock to go to bed. So getting that 7 hours sleep. The second thing I do is I eat well. So when I eat well in the day, I put myself in the best position to have a successful day. When I have what I call blue sky time, and that's when I get to dream about all the things I want to do with my life. And so I get to think about anything I want to think about and think about what the future could look like. And so I have blue sky time. I have a quiet time where I am just meditating and spend time in prayer. And so that puts me in the best position to have a successful day. To quote my personal philosophy and make 3 declarations every day puts me in the best position to have a successful day. So there's all these things like exercise. If I exercise for at least 30 minutes a day, I put myself in the best position to have a successful day. So my job for the day is to do those 7 daily rhythms because they put me in the best position to succeed in life and in business. So that's what I mean by rhythms, and I think the goal for it really is to create momentum. So if you have you could anybody could eat well for one meal, anybody could even eat well for one day. But to be able to do that for 2 days in a row and put 2 W's on the calendar, now you have a couple wins. Well, good for you. If you put 3 wins together, 3 consecutive days where you're doing all those things to put you in the best position to have a successful day, now you have what's called momentum. And once you have momentum, man, things come a lot easier to you. So you're living out of the overflow of all of these great things that you have control over in your life, and that's going to overflow into all your relationships, your business dealings, and so many other things.
I love it. Yeah, I think I'm pretty darn disciplined. I think that the reason I got a coach was like I wasn't getting out of my comfort zone a little bit, right? Like I think that I can out discipline most people. I would say like I'm at the gym, I'm at the gym every day. Like, I'm pretty darn consistent compared to most of the people I'm around. Like I can do that. But where I was lacking was kind of the mindset where, like I would have that what I call the catalytic converter, where there's always that governor on my engine where like I couldn't go 110 miles an hour, right? Like I was like a little bit too conservative and worried about too many things, right? Overthinking things. So that was really why I got a coach, is because I wanted to be able to take that off and just go for it, right? Like, and not have that catalytic converter on. And I think that's what my coach is helping me with the most right now. And I think that's so important. So many people, I mean, some people, I guess being disciplined is hard. For me, it's extremely easy. And I always tell people it's your life is easier if you're disciplined. Your life
Hmm.
is better because you don't have to think about different things. Like if I don't go to the gym in the morning, I feel like crap, right? Like I don't feel good. So I guess listening to what you're saying is really there's there's a missing rhythm that I need to kind of propel. Like I know like when I have a good sales call, for example, and I'm going to do a $10 million loan, and it's like very exciting for me. I get put in this state of euphoria, right? And then after that, everything seems like so much better versus a day where I'm dealing with all negative stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, how do I intentionally have those euphoric moments every day so you're geared to do more and more business, right? Because if I'm in that state, I'm going to open up my mind to getting bigger deals and better the things that go on. So it's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah,
So mindset, huh? No,
there's
yeah,
actually a
Gary,
couple
go
things.
ahead. Uh-huh.
There's actually a couple things. Number one is sometimes we create an environment in our life where we don't have to make choices. So I call it the absence of forced choice. So sometimes when we make ourselves choose something, we can make ourselves uncomfortable, but being uncomfortable is crucial to success in business. So think of it like an exercise ball. Okay, so those half exercise balls, they're called a Bosu ball. And so when you stand on one of those Bosu balls, you actually are quite unstable, right? So it's unstable. However, what you're doing is you're recruiting core muscles to help you stabilize that instability. And so when we can put ourselves in situations that make us uncomfortable and allow ourselves to be there, we actually build core muscles. And then after a while, you stand on that exercise ball long enough, you start to get stronger, right? You're building those core muscles. But then what you want to do is you want to start doing a few squats on that exercise ball. And then you want to grab a kettlebell and you want to be able to do some squats with the kettlebell. And what you're really trying to do is create enough instability in your life where you're now having to recruit muscles you didn't think you had. And so I love what you're saying about allowing yourself to be uncomfortable, because ultimately that instability allows you to grow. And a good coach will bring that out in you.
I think we have a comment here from Steven. Steven says, "This is amazing. You are building confidence in your ability to accomplish goals that actually mean more to your life than worrying about your business all day long. I bet this does generalize. I bet this does generalize to work." But
Yes,
yeah,
Stephen
thanks
Beaver
for
is a great guy, by the way. Thank you, Stephen, for watching us, brother, and sharing. I know he's amazing, amazing personality himself. Love to have him also on the show. Bo.
A lot of these words are actually quite nuanced, like belief, confidence, optimism. These words are all highly nuanced, and we use them, I think, really loosely. But there's only one way to build confidence. And I have read. I mean, I'm a research nut. I read everything. I try and stress test everything I say to make sure that it's legitimate. Listen, there's only one way to build confidence. Only one way. Only one way. And that is to prove things to yourself. Now, you can baby step yourself there and just make small little improvements, but ultimately, we're the ones who have to lay our head on our pillow at night and be honest with ourselves, right? And say, like, am I a fraud, or am I legit? And so when you keep proving things to yourself, you start to build confidence. And that confidence is just so important. Belief is different. Belief is almost projecting into the future that if you do something, something will happen. So, for example, if an athlete or a person in business, if they believe that if they work hard enough, they can be successful, well, that's pure gold. Like, that's incredible. It's like, for example, it's like this cup here. This represents your belief. And if your self-belief is a 4, no matter how much coaching you get, you're going to leak at a 4 because your self-belief isn't high enough. So what we want to do is raise high achievers' beliefs so that they can be at a 7 or an 8 or a 9, so that when they get poured into, they're able to retain most of everything that they learn. And so ultimately, we want people to live out of the overflow of belief that there's, if they put in the work, they can do it. Confidence is proving things to yourself. Positivity is very helpful and very useful. It's a feeling. It's a little bit more short term, but it's very useful. And optimism always requires a reason to be optimistic. So what reasons are you giving yourself to be optimistic that you can do something? So all those 4 words, they all kind of sound similar, but they're all nuanced.
So true. I mean, I was really astonished. I even talked about it yesterday. Somebody was interviewing me, and I brought it up about optimism and positivity. The book I wrote, Positivity Brings Profitability. I need to write another book now, you know, to, carry it into optimism, because I think that's exactly. And you shared that hourglass, with the sand coming down. So many of us are looking at the past and the future, but we
Mhm.
need to be really present every moment. We want to be present in that moment so that we could build that special thing, build those things or activities what we'll do now for optimism for the
Yes,
future, right? So
exactly.
explain that
That's it.
again. Yeah, Gary, say that again. I mean, you really put it together very nicely, brother.
Yeah, so the my hourglass is just on the other side of the laptop, but there's an hourglass, and on the top where the sand is, that represents the future, and the bottom represents the past. So the sand is passing through the present to the past, and so what we want to do is we want to live right in the middle of that hourglass, and that's what I call LOT, living on time. So
Mhm.
that when we live on time, all of our best performance is found in living on time. So I think one of the primary causes of anxiety is an over preoccupation with the past or the future.
Mhm.
So let me say that again. One of the primary causes of anxiety that we have is
Yeah.
living in the past or the future. So when it comes to, let's say we find ourselves really stressed about something, maybe it's a game or maybe it's a meeting that we're going to have. Well, your mind is in the future, but you're not living in the present,
Yeah.
right? Or you're thinking about how this might affect your career. You're thinking about the future. Maybe you're thinking, well, that meeting didn't go very well. Now my mind is in the past. And so in business, oftentimes we'll say that the best indicator of future success is past performance or past behaviors. But I don't think that's true. I actually think that the best indicator of future success are present behaviors. So if
Mhm.
we're doing all the right things in the moment that we need to be
Mhm.
doing to be successful, man, you can rewrite your life. You can rewrite your future. You can rewrite your present. The story that is your life can be rewritten because you're doing all the right things in the present moment.
So true. So true. Bo?
And yeah, I think, listen, if you can stay the course with these daily rhythms, I mean, I do believe that there's some kind of like luck and timing and things in people's lives that might, exponentially grow them, right? Like, 'cause I always look at this kind of stuff when you look around your peers. If you're around really successful people, who really takes off? Why did they take off? And then, you know, but I think the point is kind of like what I always think about after I listen to David Goggins' book. You can't hurt me, about how he built discipline in his mind and on his hands. And I always find that admirable, because I think, like, let's face it, it's going to be difficult most likely to be, to get where you feel accomplished. I mean, it's not going to come easy for most people. I mean, there's these lucky people out there, don't get me wrong, but you got to look, you can't be looking around. I would like oftentimes find myself watching people and going, "Oh, what did they do differently? Why are they so successful?" And then you
Mhm.
might like, just like for example, so there's the guy, the Liver King, right?
Yeah.
Like the guy sold millions of dollars of supplements. He goes around telling everybody he doesn't do steroids, and apparently like he finally admitted he did, which is it's so stupid that it's the biggest thing on media right now that okay, he lied about doing steroids, but it's interesting to see like these people that like like so you can't judge a book by its cover first of all, right? Because
Yes.
now like he just like kind of put poop on his face because he's lying. And there was another guy Vinny and I were talking about who just blew up, and then all of a sudden I just read an article that he's getting indicted. You're right, like so I
Hmm.
find myself with social media. I'll round this up so I can kind of get to the point. I find myself with social media sometimes bringing in that anxiety, right? And I think like the younger generation is so it's worrisome about the younger generation because they're so like they believe everything they see on social media, and it gets ingrained in them, and then they have like negative self-talk because oh, that girl's
Hmm.
so much prettier than I am, or that guy's got great abdominals, right? And then we're
Yeah.
caught in this kind of negative mindset where I think if you can avoid that, like for me, I don't really care. I want to learn to like, hey, who cares that Vinny just made $5 million, right? Who cares? Like he's Vinny, and I should be happy for Vinny.
Yeah.
Versus like because we all have our own journey. I think you have to start building on that. And I think like the man upstairs wants me to pay my dues, right? Like
Mhm.
for whatever reason, to get to the elite level of where I think is elite for me, right? Like you have to do the work, and there's no other
There's no
things out there.
shortcut.
There's
There's
no
no
shortcuts.
shortcut. I mean,
You got to do
these are
the
the
work.
rhythms, these are the habits, and these are, I think, again, I talk about, quite a bit that it's the mindset, and that's what we started talking about, Gary. You're a mindset coach, brother. And that's what it's all about. We could know all the skills in the world. We want to write all the goals, all the dreams on the paper. But if the mindset is not right, and doing those rhythms like you mentioned today, just 1 second, Bo and I were together, so we're going to play a little commercial today in today's show. We're going to be right back. Hey guys, this is Vinney and Beau show. The co-hosts right here in Las Vegas. I flew here. We would love for you to join us. What
Every
time?
Friday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time.
Yes.
Join us for the Vinny and Bo show.
Vinney and Beau show. We look forward to getting great. That didn't go that well. I just uploaded it. We were together in Las Vegas just a couple of weeks, well, a month back or so. But anyway, no. How can any other last questions, Bo, for Gary? And Gary, you would
No,
like to add something, brother? Yeah.
I'll just say I love this conversation, and like one other thing that I was kind of like when I was doing my coaching that got brought out. It's like, Bo, you always have to like be learning more. Like you're never like because I'm like like I didn't go to college, but I spend so much time learning now. Like I love to learn, and it kind of Phil's my coach. I have to tell you about Phil. He's a great guy. But anyway, he said, Bo, maybe you don't need to keep on doing all this learning. It's your time now. You. It's good to learn, but like the point was, it's like you don't need to know everything. Sometimes it's more of a taking the action, taking the steps, doing the daily rhythm, and that was a very good point for me. But I love the conversation. Love to have you back on the show, Gary, because I think
Yeah.
I think when it all comes down to it, mindset is the single most important thing out there for everybody is mindset. It's the number one. Doesn't matter professional athlete, business person, real estate investor, multifamily syndicator, W-2 employee. Mindset is everything, and that's where we got to start. We got to be teaching this stuff in grade school and high school.
I love it. I love it, Bo. And again, guys, everybody watching us, and this becomes a podcast also for Brother Bo and me. And I do another show at 9 a.m. Pacific, Abundance Mindset with Vinny Chopra, with Brother Walter Amarello. And I did it yesterday at 9 a.m. And I think we publish it all through the channels. Also, thanks for joining. We come live to you every Friday. Every Friday. Next week I'll be in on vacation, but Bo, I'm going to be doing it from there, brother, from Mexico. I'm
Again, you're going to Mexico again?
another vacation. Yeah, love it,
Gary,
love
where
it.
can people find you, Gary?
Yeah, please, Gary.
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram at Elite Mindset, and my website is Elite Mindset Nation because I want to create an entire nation of high performers and that'll change the world. So, yeah, elitemindsetnation.com and Elite Mindset on Instagram.
I
Awesome.
love it,
Thanks.
Gary. Love
Thanks
to
so
have
much,
you,
Gary.
brother. Talk about the blueprint. A lot of things we didn't really get to. We usually do 30 minutes this show. I'm sure love to have you on other shows also. Bo, last comments, brother. Then we'll do the outro. Yeah.
Everybody have a great weekend. It's amazing. We're December 2nd.
Yep.
December 8th is a huge day, guys. Keep that in mind. My 45th birthday, December 8th,
Hey, all right.
which is right around the corner. It's about 6 days away. Vinny, you know my address if you want to send me some more toys.
Love to, brother.
Because I'm
Love
using
to.
your webcam right now. I love the webcam. Vinny sent me a
Thank
nice
you.
webcam, and it's got a remote control on it. So, anyways.
Yes, that's the good one. We are not getting paid anything, guys, but check this out. It's amazing. It's called N970P. N970P. This is 50. I have two of them. There, look at this one. It's amazing. It's
I'll have to
beautiful.
get that
And
toy.
it's from Nexigo. Nexigo.
Yes.
Nexigo. Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
So happy to be on your show finally.
I'm a long-time fan and I watch all your guys' content.
Awesome. We're very, very, very invested in our community.
It's wonderful to be here.
This is Vinney Chopra and also my good buddy, Beau. And we are so happy.
It's amazing what's going to happen. So, we amped up to do the show, and we got a lot of hype about the guest today, so I'm excited.
Oh, I know.
So excited.
To come live to you all. We come to you live 9:30 every Friday. How to take your business to the next level.